Hi, and welcome to Inside Rocky Hill. My name is Allan Smith, the mayor of Rocky Hill, and thank you so much for joining us here at Rocky Hill Community Television. We're going to be talking tonight a little bit about what is going on in town. This is our monthly show that was last recorded in January, so we have a little bit of ground to cover, and I'm here with my guest from Rocky Hill High School, Jordan Szczygiel. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly, but you'll meet him shortly. So first of all, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in town and what's happened since the last time we were on Inside Rocky Hill. First of all, we were scheduled to have a show in February, and then we had a crisis that you might have seen at the concierge apartments. Well, the good thing with that is that we're on the other side of it mostly at this point. So that's not taking up all day, every day for us anymore, but there was certainly a lot of work to be done there. We had hundreds of displaced residents, and our town really rose to the occasion, not just town staff, but neighbors and all the various town departments, and basically every level of government got involved to get us past that situation. So that took up a lot of February and a good chunk of March as well. But since then, just focusing on some of the stuff that happened in March, we had Rocky Hill High School girls went to the state championship game at Mohegan. They fought valiantly, brought it to overtime. Unfortunately, didn't turn out exactly the way that we wanted to in the end, similar to UConn recently, but they did a great job, and we're really proud of them for getting that far. Also, the Education Foundation had a great fundraiser at the high school with the Harlem Wizards, raised a bunch of money that goes right back into the school. That was really well attended, and just always a good time every year. Model UN at the high school was a great event just a couple weeks ago. 16 schools, 95 students from around the area, and a keynote presentation from former Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin and congressional candidate. That was put on entirely by students, and it's amazing the job they did putting that together. This was the second year, and it's just getting better and better. And then outside of the school, we had our first responders had another water rescue at the ferry March 23rd. Basically, saving somebody's life out of the river. And this isn't the first time that they've done this. So just once again, demonstrating how great they are for our community. And I look forward to, finding ways to award their courage in the future with this as well. So hopefully more of that story also will get out in the future. So moving on to April. We've had a couple town meetings now. This last Monday, April 6th, we had a town meeting where we got a lot of stuff done. We decided as a council to embark on an efficiency survey to study our public safety department. This had been an ongoing conversation really dating back to last summer, and we had vetted a bunch of vendors, talked about the best use of funds and what a third party might be able to look into, and we've decided to move forward with that as of Monday. We also voted to expand our public art policy to allow more public art in more places in town. A couple years ago, the town had passed a public art policy, but it was limited to only specific types of art and specific areas, and we hadn't seen anybody come forward with any proposals yet. So we expanded that, really excited, and hopefully we'll see some more public art here in town. And at that same meeting, we also heard presentations from some companies who provide automated traffic enforcement. So this would be speed cameras, stoplight, red light cameras, things like that. We're in the early phases of that conversation. still, hearing from different vendors about what they do and how all this works, and we're looking forward to getting the community involved as we hear from more vendors about how their different companies work in the coming future or the coming meetings. And then just this week, we have also embarked on budget season. So Tuesday, the town manager rolled out his proposed budget, and that basically marks the beginning of budget season. We are going to have multiple meetings for the next month and a half, basically. At the time you're seeing this, we might be rolling into our first actual workshop, which will be at 5:30 on Thursday, April 9th. And we'll basically be having those every Tuesday and Thursday at 5:30 at the council chambers for about the next month and a half. We'll hear from all the different departments about what they see as their coming expenses in the next year. We'll hear about different revenues that we have coming in, and we'll get to balance some of our priorities. But the highlights of this initial presentation was really, we got a high-level summary of what we're looking at for expenditures, first of all. So in a nutshell, we are looking at an increase in the proposed budget. And once again, this is the initial proposal from the town manager, so nothing's been voted on yet. We're still in discussions about priorities here, and some of the numbers will also settle themselves out later. But in this proposed budget, we're going from spending about $101 million a year to $110 million a year. That's an increase of about 8.38%. Most of that, or I would say the largest chunk of that, is driven off of our economic or our education budget. We're going to hear a little bit about what's going on at our school this evening, but also we're just seeing a lot of pressures around rising insurance costs, rising costs for things like busing and waste, trash pickup, and all of these type of other things that sometimes are beyond our control. But we're looking to right-size a lot of the programs that may have been cut in previous years, and throughout the campaign, we heard a lot about why these are important to bring back. So in a more detailed look at it, we have challenges around the grand list as well. So real estate values, while it seems like they're going up all the time, especially if you're a home buyer, our real estate grand list actually went down, as well as our personal property values went down. Personal property is typically around commercial real estate. And so our motor vehicle revenue went up a little bit, and when you add all those numbers together, we broke about even for grand list. So if you tie all those, both sides of that together, basically we had flat grand list growth last year, and yet our expenses have gone up. So the good news is that the town is looking at getting additional money this year from outside sources. The amount of money coming in from the state actually looks like it's going to go up. Some of the reasoning behind that is because our school population is staying about the same, while other towns are going down. It looks like we're going to be getting more money through PILOT. That is an acronym for Payment in Lieu of Taxes, and that's the money that we get from properties in town that we don't own. So the state owns it, or the federal government owns it, or something like that, and we get money to offset the fact that that's not on our normal grand list. So it looks like we're going to be getting more of that, and the way that all of those things are shaping out is a little under $1 million. So it's about a 10% increase. So that's going to cover some of the increase in costs that is not something that has to be passed on to the average taxpayer, which is good news. And the main reason for that is because our delegation is doing a good job in Hartford trying to bring more of that money back into Rocky Hill. So just to give some more of the highlights, our property tax change, there's an increase in the percentage that's going up. There's also an increase in the percentage of the coming from state grants. We're factoring in that we're going to be collecting a little bit less in permits and fees than we expected in previous years. That's really just kind of like a right sizing of our expectations, for a grand total in the proposed budget of an increase around 8.38% in spending. Now, once again, this is the proposed budget. We still have a long way to go. We're going to be going over all of the various departments and expenditures with a fine-tooth comb. We're also going to make sure that we're factoring in all the other sources of revenue that we should have coming into the town. And this is where we get to hear from you about what is important to you when it comes to your priorities and what is essential versus optional. So to wrap up how that shakes out in terms of mill rate, the proposed budget as has been proposed is an increase of about 2.72 mills for real estate and personal property, and about 2.2 mills for vehicles, bringing the mill rate up for real estate to 32.96, and the proposed mill rate for vehicles to 32.46. This is consistent with a lot of the mill rates in our area, but still obviously lower than many others. And hopefully we'll be able to put in a lot of work over the next month and a half and correct that number even more. But what I would recommend is for everybody to log on to Rocky Hill's website, rockyhillct.gov, and you can look at the entire budget yourself. You can also look at the calendar of events for all of the budget workshops and see if there's a department in there that's especially important to you. You should make a note of it, and if you're available, either submit your feedback via email or come to that meeting and speak directly to us as a town council so that we get that feedback about what's important to you, either to add into the budget or to take out of the budget. This is your budget, so we want to hear from you. And of course, you can always reach out to me as well. My email address is asmith@rockyhillct.gov. Feel free to send me any feedback. The more we hear from you is how we know what your priorities are as a resident of Rocky Hill. But I know the budget is exciting. Everybody loves poring over spreadsheets and balancing those numbers and looking at how things might be different in the future. There's some exciting things in this budget, I think, and I can't wait to get into the weeds of how we're investing in growing our grand list in the future in ways that we haven't in the past, and where we've found some savings and efficiencies as well. But that being said, I'd like to introduce you to my guest. His name is Jordan, and the students call him Mr. S. And Jordan is from the Career Center at Rocky Hill High School, and he's here to talk a little bit about what what the Career Center is, what it does, and just get to know him a little bit. We met at an event for the Chamber of Commerce, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, something like that. Mm-hmm. I was invited in to talk about a career in real estate at the Career Center. I thought it was great. I said, you should be telling more people about this. and I dragged him out here to talk about it. So, Jordan, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah.
First of all, explain a little bit about your role at the school and what the Career Center does.
Yeah, so thank you, Mayor, for having me here. I'm really excited to be able to have the opportunity to kind of explain what the Career Center is all about. So what it is it's kind of being a middleman between the school system as well as industry. And a lot of times what I've found over the past year when I've taken over this role, because it's brand new, is that the industry partners are looking to collaborate with the schools and they don't have a point person. So kind of that has become my role, and as I become that point person, my goal is to learn what's happening within the industry so then we can give our students at Rocky Hill High School the competitive advantage that they need to be able to stay marketable within this ever-increasing difficult work environment.
Awesome, awesome. And I just think of it, what really struck me is a lot of times you hear talk about college isn't for everybody. There's many paths to being a successful adult with a successful career. And while that is a good fit for a lot of people, and we have a lot of students that go on to great colleges and great careers past that, there's been a lack maybe in the past of thinking about other options, right?
Yeah.
So, how did you get to this point? What led you into taking on this role, or when did you join up with Rocky Hill High, or?
Yeah, so it kind of took a roundabout path to get here. So I fell in love with education as a whole was during my travels during India and Africa. So I was traveling in Uganda and I saw the power of education to get these kids out of these certain environments that they were in. I was in rural Uganda at Sippy Falls, as well as in India in the big three, so Delhi, Mumbai, Bombay, and Jaipur. But if I say that wrong, I apologize. But so when I was traveling around those countries, I saw really the power of education and how it would be able to motivate these kids to be able to get to where they wanted to and kind of give them that success to become independent and successful, whatever venue they chose. And so exactly what you're saying, Mayor, is in terms of there's no correct path. The bigger thing is it's the correct path for that individual learner. So really I want to be able to take what I learned and understand that the power is within that educational philosophy. And so I took that and it brought me to education. And so my thought process towards it was I wanted to get into education because I wanted to provide these kids these opportunities that they might not have had previously or been aware of previously without knowing. And so I became a tech ed teacher. I was very passionate about it. I love construction, I love building, I love being able to be independent. And so I have worked at Rocky Hill High School for 9 years. Before that, I did various jobs that I was able to tap into during my time at Rocky Hill. And now I've become tech ed supervisor. And when I became tech ed supervisor, I started connecting with local businesses. And so actually, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Miss Wendy Durand, noticed my ability to connect with local businesses as well as Principal Fody, and they took me to Killingley High School along with our head of guidance, Amy Garbuti, not this past October, but the October before, where kind of the idea for the Career Center originated because Assistant Superintendent Wendy Duran had previously worked there. And so as we went through that process and saw it, we thought, well, we need to bring this to Rocky Hill High School. And I got the opportunity due to the connections that I had formed with local businesses to be able to bring the Career Center to the high school.
Awesome, awesome. Well, talk a little bit about what you do with the Career Center then, or what it is, and how it works day to day, that type of stuff.
Yeah. So behind me is our vision and our mission. So I am all about thinking about where we're headed because it makes it a lot easier. So the first step that we took when creating the Career Center was actually creating that. Once we had that, then we started breaking it down in terms of each grade level, what each grade level will be able to accomplish. So at first, in 9th grade, what we wanted to do was kind of get them to be introduced to it. So we wanted to introduce them to the variety of careers that there are available. Then sophomore year, we wanted them to proceed on in that exploration so that they can start to align the classes they choose at the high school with potentially their career options. So then they can make sure that they're utilizing their top at the high school and making it as intentional as possible. And so then junior year, we really want them to get to start to put those skills into practice through resume writing and mock interviewing and all of those things. And then senior year, the goal is to get them to work-based learning as well as industry recognized credentials. So I'll talk about that in a little bit, but really we want those kids to be, again, that competitive advantage within the larger workforce.
Great.
So,
No, that all sounds good.
yeah.
Yeah.
So and then how we're approaching that is we had our grand opening on October 30th. So we were able to invite local individuals to this grand opening. We kind of really built out the space, and it was awesome to be able to see it come to fruition. So it used to be an IT room, and we actually turned it into the Career Center. As you can see with the coming photos, at the grand opening, what we had was, we had the ribbon cutting, and I want to intentionally recognize, again, I brought her up already, but Assistant Superintendent Wendy Duran, as well as our Principal John Fody and our Vice Principal Dave DeCarli. They have been super supportive in this endeavor, which has been awesome. So, but once you enter the Career Center, you get to see the Rocky Hill vision of the graduate, which is really what we're trying to embody and get these kids to be able to be successful. And then we also see the larger picture of the banner within.
Yeah, and when I was there, it looks great. It's all sparkling and new, and you really do. You see that messaging throughout and consistent, and the technology in there is great for careers of the future. I remember, when I was in high school, it was the desktop PC and the Career Center was maybe like typing classes or something like that. It was certainly not anything like that.
Yeah.
And it was really impressive to see. So, yeah.
So the next goals that we have to be able to continue to impress individuals like yourself when we come in is what we're going to be working on is we are rolling out pathways, again, trying to give our kids the leg up so that they can learn today and lead tomorrow. And so we've brought in some of those pathways. We've also brought in, we're working on developing a student ambassador club, and but I really want to get into the pathways in a minute because I think it's awesome for the students to be able to proceed that way. So, and the pathways are formed off of the career clusters. So this career clusters, what they are is they actually was the Department of Labor that you'll see right here. So the Department of Labor, what they did was they went out and combined with Advanced CTE, which is a nationwide organization. And so they formed 14 career clusters that you'll see in the circle right there. And those align with what the industry is really dictating. So again, we can make sure that what we're teaching our students is aligning with where we're going as a society. So.
Great.
So these pathways that we did engineering, physical health, teaching and training. So we have at our school already a very robust engineering program. We have won 6 times for Project of the Way Distinguished School, the most in any state, more than any STEM school in the state, which is we're very proud of. We also have our physical health, which is the CNA is the #1 sought after job within North Central. That was determined by the Connecticut Workforce and Education Strategy, the blueprint that was given out at the Connecticut Business and Industry Association Summit that was just held last Thursday, and they determined that the CNA certification was the most important certification in this North Central region. So
great.
And then, as you indicated earlier, we had people come in to talk to the students about the careers so that they can get that leg up, so they can look competitive. And so you came in, as you indicated, on March 26th. You talked about working for Berkshire Hathaway and Home Services New England. We had connected at the Middlesex Chamber of Commerce, which was phenomenal. And we were able to get the kids interested. And as I indicated, it was the #2 selection of our students at Rock Hill High School to be able to select real estate as their desired career.
Very, very proud.
Yeah.
There was doctors and real estate. So I was happy with that. Also not a surprise that we have a lot of students that want to be doctors. And then, I had a great time. And also I'll take credit there were probably like 20-something students there, and I think like 9 of them stayed after to talk to me more about real estate, so I think I did a good job talking about that.
Absolutely.
And I even connected with a couple of them afterwards, too. I ran into a couple around town, and they had even more questions for me, so it was great, and it really connected, and I think it is important to connect with students who, you know, they might assume that their next logical step is to go off to college and they don't really know what other options there are, to leave high school and go right into a career that is already paying the bills and doesn't assume the debt maybe the secondary school is. Now, obviously, we still want all the folks that want to become doctors, we still want them to be doctors because we need doctors, and that requires a lot of schooling. But I just love to hear about, you know, all those other options and the pathways that people might have.
Yeah, and as indicated earlier, no correct pathway is the right one. We have the military, the trade schools, and this is echoed from Governor Lamont for the pathway development that you'll see progressing. And as you indicated, you have the 30% of 2025 college graduates currently do not have employment. So we do need to, as a town, and to be making sure that we're providing a service to our students the best that we can, make sure that they're aware of the career options that they have ahead of them. So I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, great. Awesome. Well, anything else to add? Did we miss anything? Anything important?
The last thing I wanted to add is our slogan at the Career Center is that the students learn today and lead so that they can lead tomorrow. And really what our goal is to give them that competitive advantage. And I want to echo that I took this from Mark Parna from the Connecticut Bureau Industry and Association Conference last Thursday, where numerous individuals spoke, it was a really powerful statement. And the biggest thing that we want to have our students develop with AI evolving and the workforce developing is those personal development and professional development skills, and we really hope to emphasize that through the Career Center.
Are you still looking for more industries or people from different industries to come in and speak to students as well?
Yes, absolutely. We'd love to have more people come in, and I appreciate the opportunity to go on here.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
So if anybody else thinks that they would like the opportunity to speak at the school or anything, feel free to reach out to me, and I can forward that on. But yeah, thanks, Mr. S. Yeah. Thanks for coming in. And thank you once again for everybody that has tuned in. Thank you to Rocky Hill Community TV, Mike O'Toole and Andy Brescia for helping us out here. And thanks to my sidekick in the booth as well, Counselor Van Luling. Once again, I'll just echo, if anybody has any feedback, any ideas, any questions you want us to answer on air, don't hesitate to reach out. My email is asmith@rockyhillct.gov. Thank you all, and hope to see you around town.